Round one of the 44th edition of the Players, and it looked as though Sergio Garcia was experiencing, understandably, a bit of a Masters hangover. He was 4 over with 3 to play. He birdied 16, and then suddenly it was party time again for Garcia. Can you believe it? Can't stop smiling. Wasn't quite Waste Management Phoenix Open loud because it was late in the day here. It had thinned out, but it was raucous and it was fun. How about William McGirt? Sergio getting in the house at 73. He'll be chasing McGirt and Mackenzie Hughes. This McGirt's second shot at number 16 from 238 yards. He would go on to make eagle. He shoots 5 under, and he is tied with Hughes, the young Canadian. Golf Central is live from the Players.
Golf Central proudly presents Live from the Players. Coverage presented by TaylorMade and Orkin.
Just sort of eased into this day. Wasn't a whole lot happening. And Sergio came to that 17th and it all changed. Temperature in the 90s today. Going to cool down for the weekend. Pretty good scoring out there. It's a revamped golf course. Hughes playing in his very first Players, already a winner on the PGA Tour. Canadian won the RSM at St. Simon's Island. I mean, John Rahm, meteoric rise. He was playing college golf 1 year ago. He's now 12th in the world. Brandel's choice is right there. And on page 2, Cabrera Bello from Spain, very capable. Remember, Lingmerth was in the mix a few years ago. Berger. It's a lot of birdies. And the left-hander from Texas, Cody Gribble, also a winner earlier this season. And hello again, and welcome, Rich Lerner, alongside Brandel Chambly, Frank Nobilo, and 99 Players champion David Duval. How about that ace by Sergio Garcia behind us? What a finish to this day, Brandel.
I heard Todd Lewis the other day in his piece talk about the odds of a professional golfer making a hole-in-one at 3,000 to 1. I guess nobody's told these guys that because they seem to be making them at a clip of about every 300. Phenomenal shot by our Masters champion, and the changes that we've talked about that we have said perhaps are superficial. Well, they appear to be a little more than superficial because there are 6 players who are tied for 3rd or better. 3 of them have never seen this golf course before. That's Alex Noren, Mackenzie Hughes, both of them 68, 67, and John Rahm, who you just mentioned, also shot 68. First-time players stepping up here and looking like veterans.
You know what I find interesting, Frank, is that we talked about the revamped 12th for 3 straight days leading into this championship, how exciting it might be, the drivable par 4, and it was as if 17 was saying to 12, kid, you got a long ways to go. I'm still the man around here.
Well, I think the biggest difference, 122 yards, everybody has to go for the hole behind you. But, you know, the 12th, though, we all talked about it earlier in the week. David, I think you hit it on strategy. It's a drivable par 4. That doesn't mean you have to hit at the green each and every day. And, you know, really it sort of mirrored some of the best players in the field where you've got to play a little cat and mouse. And speaking of that, you know, this is such a good field. To your point, Brandel, about how the debutants played so well. Look at the top 11 players in the world. I put Adam Scott down there as well. Not a single one broke 70. The worst score out of the lot of them, Justin Rose, 74. So these guys were sort of foxing for position, which you would think in a normal event, yeah, they'd get away with. But with some of the scores today, with already so many guys in the 60s, they've actually left themselves a lot to do. So this is the creme de la creme. And none of these guys playing the same golf course could actually break 70, which bodes well to the strength of golf today.
David, last night, I'm going to give you some credit. Right before that segment we did on what we would call the dark horses, some weren't really dark horses, but guys outside the top 20, we're in commercial break, and you said, you know, I kind of like William McGirt. but then at the last second, you came out with Kevin Kisner. Not a bad pick. I just there's the.
Wait a minute, not a bad pick. It was my pick too.
Huh?
You guys are claiming it. You want to claim the Super Bowl?
But I know David, you liked McGirt coming in, and here he is 5 under.
Well, very much so. I think this course, as I've talked about, necessitates being tough, mentally, physically, getting around here, taking what it'll give you at times, backing off. But as we've talked for 3 straight days leading into today, the beauty of this golf course is it doesn't favor anybody. And you see, Frank, what you pulled up there, the top 11 in the world, they're not on that first page of the leaderboard. And you look at the first page in top 10, there's long hitter, short hitter, medium hitter. It just is a matter of precision getting around this golf course, scrambling the heck out of it at times. I don't think you can get away with not hitting a lot of greens here for 4 days, but you can for a couple of days. But it just, we talked about, there's going to be players who are on, and we see that, and it's on the leaderboard, and it isn't necessarily a long hitter or a short hitter. It's just a great mix.
Looked like Adam Scott was going to be the clubhouse leader, but then TPC Sawgrass, this gauntlet, jumped up and grabbed him. Unfortunate ending for Adam Scott, but we'll pick it up. Here he is at the 11th hole, the par 5, 9-footer for birdie, and it just drips in. So he's 4 under at that point, Frank.
Yeah, and going extremely well. Just picking the, I thought it was much harder this afternoon. The greens were starting to pick up speed. 14 has always been a difficult hole, and today, guys, the flag was on a little bit of a bowl on the top of this. This had caused guys problems. This was just absolutely wonderful.
And so too was this next moment right here at the 15th hole.
Well, this was nothing unusual today. He had escaped beautifully at the 14th, a couple of times on the front 9 from equally difficult places, and then here at the 15th, kicking a field goal, so to speak, and just about a foot away from that dripping off of the green, but it didn't. And there we'll take another look at it, driving down, keeping the hands well in front of the golf ball, and making sure that one stays beneath the tree limbs. Otherwise, you've got some problems. And it gave him a decent look for birdie, which he converted.
He's 6 under par at this point. David, what happened here at 17?
Well, the TPC Sawgrass reached out and it gaveth, but it taketh away. This shot here is 2-3 feet maybe from being next to the hole. Gets just to the right of that slope, spins back down off of the slope into the water, and now you're faced with an incredibly difficult third shot from the drop area, and you rarely will see players succeed getting it close to their hole. And you can see it right here. If that ball's 2 foot left, that goes down, and he's looking at 8 feet for birdie, and that's just what happens here.
And then at 18, really trying to push the pedal here from 204 yards, a bit of a gap here. Maybe a little ambitious because of the double at 17. Double finish, but this one didn't come with fries.
2 under par for Adam Scott.
Yeah, I'm playing good. I mean, good front 9, get myself back on pace with the lead, and try and set up a good weekend.
A lot of guys had got traction at times and kind of lost it at times. Is that just kind of the nature of just the way this course plays?
Yeah, it's hard to stay out of trouble all day, and it just depends where you want to get into trouble. It's obviously there's so much water here, and there's no real easy recovery from the water. I was left with some pretty tricky pitches to try and save bogeys, and I wasn't able to do it.
Your putting was the best in the field today. That must give you some confidence, especially with the morning round tomorrow and going into the weekend.
Yeah, that's great. The putter's been feeling okay. It's really been my ball striking that's dragged me down this year, except at the Masters, and I played really good today, solid until just the last couple of holes, but really I'm only disappointed with my wedge shot into 17. That's the only one I'd really like to have back and dump it further up in the green and hit it a bit more solid. It might have been a different story after 18.
Now to another Australian, another former Players Champ, another former #1, Jason Day, who, like Adam, had it going.
Well, he'd missed the fairway at the 11th, so he was forced to lay up. He certainly had the power to get there. This just the second hole of the day for him, and building quite around by the time he got to the 16th, David.
Yeah, just a beautiful long, towering approach shot from 226 yards. Trying to come down softly on these hard greens. Lands it just short. Chases into a little bit of a hollow there in the green. Chasing to that back area. But he'd have a good look from 35 feet up the hill for eagle that he would two-putt and move 3 under par.
3 under as he made the turn. Frank, he keeps it going.
Well, I looked in no man's land here. This is 66 feet away. A bunch of people three-putted this first green. Flag up there on top of the hill. Not Jason. That's a huge bonus.
The 6th.
2016, he established a record for strokes gained putting. This year, quite another story, 147th in strokes gained putting. Struggling coming in and struggling here at the 6th.
Now at the par 5 9th, his final hole.
Incredibly difficult third shot. Punching it low through the trees, just races through the back of the green into the gallery. Tough, tough spot there. Ended up finishing with a bogey.
Yeah, so Adam Scott had it to 6 under and finished at the 72 under par. Jason Day at one point had it to 5 under, and he also shoots 70. Again, he bogeyed 3 of his last 4. Remember, he started his day at number 10, and so a bit of a disappointment, but he's professional enough, he's been around long enough to know he's just getting started. Now to William McGirt, different story for the veteran from North Carolina. Here he is at number 16.
His name just keeps popping up on leaderboards this time, and this is the reason why. This is a brave shot. 237 yards, 2 oak trees in the way, and just splits the gap right through the middle. Just a tremendous shot. Sits up, well, just over 6 feet for, you would call it an eagle?
Not too far. You'd imagine you got to pay it off after that beautiful approach, and sneaks it right over the front lip of the hole.
Trying to get to 7 under par. Daunting task here at the 17th. You can tell he was in between clubs there, taking a little off of a short iron, and he's played it beautifully. Catches that slope, starts feeding back towards the hole. Yep, begging a little bit. That's okay. That's allowed. Gave him a great look, Frank.
This is a horrible putt, though. I mean, look, you got to sort of poke it out there on the edge and hope for it to come back, and then it just snaps at the end. That's a good stroke.
Very good stroke on 17. Maybe a foot further away for par on 18. Not quite as good. Missed it low as soon as he hit, but still an incredible first round.
So William McGirt, remember, he contended at the Masters at least to a couple of rounds, ended up finishing tied 22nd, and here he is at the Players, but we certainly enjoy getting to know William a little bit better. His great personality, kind of an everyman. Worked his way through the mini tours, and here he is, tied for the lead after the first round at the Players.
The biggest thing is the fact that I can play. It's amazing what a little bit of confidence will do. The win last year was huge for my confidence, and then playing well at the PGA last fall kind of proved to myself that, hey, I can play golf at the major championship level. And then obviously playing well for the first 2.5 days at Augusta. So more than anything, it's more of a confidence thing that you take away from it. A lot of it too was playing well at the right time. I've played well at other weeks of the year and nobody seems to notice, which is fine, but it just playing well at the right time is what makes everybody notice, and big events and stuff like that, and taking advantage of it.
46th ranked player in the world, that is pretty respectable. William McGirt won the Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio, Jack's House last year, and he's been top 25 in the last 2 majors. Just a guy who knows what he does. Not one of the longest hitters, but he takes care of his business. And his wife, Sarah, says it best. It took him 10 years to get to the tour, 5 more to earn his first win. Quote, he works hard and he plays smart, end quote, from his wife, Sarah. Randall, what do you like when you look at William McGirt?
Well, one of the reasons I like Kevin Kisner is I love his golf swing. He works with a fellow by the name of John Tillery. So does William McGirt. William McGirt was playing well at the Masters. I reached out, talked to John Tillery, and I said, talk to me about the evolution of his golf game. He said, well, he could hit it straighter than you can point, but the problem was he couldn't hit it high enough to hold the greens. At that point, when they first started working, the tour average in Apex was 90 feet. It's now increased quite a bit. At that point, William McGirt couldn't hit it higher than 70, 80 feet. As a matter of fact, over the last couple of years, they've gone to work, and it's made quite a difference. So much so that he had played prior to last year 164 events and had only ever led an event in greens and regulation twice, and he's done it 3 times since then. We'll take a look at this, and you can see that the tour average there, 102 feet. 3 years ago, 2015, he was 84 feet 6 inches. The last year, they made a difference. They changed his golf swing. They got him to hitting the ball higher, closer to 100 feet, and this year, higher still. How did that result? Well, in 2015, he only had 1 top 10. 2016, 7 top 10s. He broke through with a victory. And this year, he is contending in major championships. And as we speak, the biggest event that the PGA Tour runs. And one of the reasons we're showing the 11th hole there is because he had 281 yards into that hole today. You guys have all played that hole. It is a very, not only narrow green, but a very difficult green to hold. He was able to hold it. He made eagle, and again followed it up with another eagle at the 16th hole. And I know, David, you know him quite well.
I do, and he's an impressive guy. You know, it's not surprising to see him in these major events pop up there because he is gritty, which it requires. You know, he is tough, you know, and he doesn't have any give up in him. He fights the whole way through and tries to scratch out every last shot he can. And more importantly, especially around this type of golf course that demands so much from a player, both from a hitting aspect and a thinking aspect, is he's not afraid. And as soon as you start holding on around TPC Sawgrass, you're in trouble, and you're going to strangle your round to death. There's no hold on in him. He's not afraid. He's going to get after it, and it's just impressive to watch.
And plus, he's old school. I mean, the dude plays just about every week. He's already had 15 stars. This is his 16th start of the year. But I do want to go back to the Apex side. I love the way that you're buying into technology. Just want to give you a look at it.
I'm a geek at that. You know that.
But it shows you, too, firm, fast greens, right? And this is the reason why these guys have all these contraptions on the road. On the range. If you can measure that and you can quantify it against the rest of the field, you really do get an edge. I thought it was a great way to point that out. He was not competitive, even though if you watched him on the range, the ball flight was fine. Because you get to these greens that are like this or harder than our heads, and all of a sudden that ball gets repelled. There's flags you cannot hit at. That change, that subtle change, made all the difference.
TrackMan helps. As I've been trying to tell you, for crying out loud.
Yes, I'm listening.
What's kind of nice about William McGirt is that we talk ad nauseum, and rightfully so, about the wonderkins, the Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Jordan Spieth, the young guys with all that talent. Here's a guy, William McGirt, who's better at 37 than he was at 27. He has paid his dues in the minor leagues, and now he's on the biggest stage, and he's handling his business. Stay with us. Speaking of some of those wonderkins, Dustin Johnson's not a kid anymore. He's all grown up, and he is world number 1. A solid world number 1. How'd he do today? Rory McIlroy, kind of a topsy-turvy round. And what about Jordan Spieth? We'll tell you how those 3 superstars fared when we come back live from the Players in just a moment.